12 months ago, the British Ministry of Defense released their 10-year prospectus, what they believe would happen in the next 10 years. They said the derivatives market would implode in the near future. Worldwide martial law would be instated. We wrote big articles about it, linked to it, had experts from Britain on about it. I told you, of course, about 9 years ago, we read federal documents on air, how they plan to put license plate reading cameras in nationwide. And about 4 years ago, you saw the headline, Florida town reads the plates and runs the background of everybody that drives through it. Well, here is the news today. Portland Tribune, got a link to it up on Infowars.com. We could all be tracked. Cops test license plate cameras that store, trace all data. Everyone is recorded. Everyone is tracked. They're just letting the local police dial into it. Those traffic cameras, they told you were for traffic 5-6 years ago. It was in the Pentagon documents that is a military control grid for Northcom. That's your government now, not Congress, but the military. What did Thomas Barnett, one of the top war specialists and futurists at the Navy, have to say on C-SPAN? He said, we work for the banks. We work for Wall Street. Wall Street is foreign. Austin is one of the wealthiest, richest towns in the United States. I know a lot of prominent people who are part of the New World Order but, quote, don't like it. And they have been leaving the country for 5 years. What have I been telling you? Saying, quote, financially, the United States won't exist. The United States is going to be the epicenter of a economic hydrogen bomb going off worldwide. By design. There isn't time to suck your thumbs anymore and deny what I'm saying. There's only time to go research what I'm saying and find out it's true, because politically, the American people have already gotten their head out of the sand. 2 weeks ago, they told Congress, we do not want this banker bailout plan. These are mainly foreign-owned banks. That's why you now hear they're bailing out foreign banks, because our banks are foreign, basically out of Europe. They figured this scam out hundreds of years ago, the Ponzi schemes. And we don't want you to do that. And so the president had his group on financial markets not prop up the stock market that Monday. That still didn't terrorize the public into submission. The public did not go along with the threat. And so the president's working group on financial markets did not bail the stock market out that Monday evening. It dropped around $1.2 trillion, to be technical, $1.2 trillion. Then it dropped another $3 trillion in value since then, from its high of last year, this week, its high last year on Thursday of 14,000 down to right around 8,000. And it's only going to go down more. Now, we told you on this show, we said, you watch, they passed that banker takeover bill. That's what it said. A small group of private banks, not your bank on Main Street, but the private families that own the Federal Reserve. If you do that, they are going to hammer the stock market down to nothing because they want to buy it up cheap. And then we gave all the documents and linked to them on the website. I mean, we have them engineering it. We have them doing it. And look, if you can't figure that out intellectually or economically, if you can't figure out what I'm saying, I know most of you can, but some probably can't, those that tune into mainstream media and are basically brain damaged from birth from the fluoride you drink. If you can't figure out what I'm saying there, you never saw a president or a prime minister or a Democratic leader of the House or Senate or Republican leader, the Speaker of the House, whatever, come out and say, depression, 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 we're going to have a depression. But they came out for 2 weeks terrorizing the public, trying to get the public behind this banker takeover bill. That's what it is. Immunity, unlimited power. The power for these select group to take over other banks and other brokerage firms and insurance companies. And private companies separate from the financial system. And what did they do? What did they do? They dropped the market thousands and thousands and thousands of points, from 11,000 down to 8,000. And then they have a world summit and say we need a world banking elite now to be in complete power. And what happened? I told you when they passed that, the stock market would plunge, and what happened? It plunged because the enemy is out in the open with what they're doing. Now, the Boston Globe can make jokes all day. Postponing the election, is it a joke or is it? And I'm surprised even this much truth could come out in a major paper, but you ought to go read it. But they don't ever mention what the congressman had to say. The fact that multiple congressmen, Democrats and Republicans, were threatened with martial law if they didn't go along with it. Now, last week when I heard this on C-SPAN, I didn't just stop there. I called and had the congressman on. Here it is.
From Ohio. The only way they can pass this bill is by creating and sustaining a panic atmosphere. That atmosphere is not justified. Many of us were told in private conversations that if we voted against this bill on Monday, that the sky would fall, the market would drop 2,000 or 3,000 points the first day, another couple thousand the second day, and a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no. That's what I call fear-mongering. Unjustified. Proven wrong. We've got a week, we've got 2 weeks to write a good bill. The only way to pass a bad bill, keep the panic pressure on. Now, what has the Senate done to this bill?
Now, that's from C-SPAN. Now, they knew that bad-mouthing the market for weeks, saying depression, would make the general public and institutional investors, cities, counties, states, and that's the biggest amount of investment, pull out. And they did. And so while they sit up there saying, oh, things are bad, depression, boy, give us more power, they are the ones orchestrating it all, while the money is given to the select inside group of banks to go and forcibly with regulators, take over those banks, take over those institutions. Meanwhile, Chrysler, GM have merger talks, sources report. Chrysler is in talks with General Motors Corporation about a deal to combine the number 1, number 3 automakers at a time when both are struggling to cut cost and shore up cash, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. That's from Reuters. So, again, every U.S. asset being bought up. And that'll be done with taxpayer money and handed over to Chrysler. Scramble to save banks as IMF warns of meltdown, from Reuters. Again, more fear-mongering from the central banks. Give us unlimited power, or it's going to be financial Armageddon. Financial terrorism. Here's another one from Reuters. Markets to fall another 20%. More at most. IMF economist. In a worst-case scenario, markets could fall more than 20%, but there is practically zero chance another Great Depression. The International Monetary Fund chief economist Oliver Blanchard was quoted as saying on Sunday. Really, we don't have an economy left here in the United States. All we have is debt and rolling debt over into our houses and getting a new mortgage on another house we flip. I mean, this is a total setup. Meanwhile, the sheriff in Chicago halts foreclosure evictions, Reuters reports. That's actually something sensible to do. I mean, if you're going to be bailing out the international bankers, why should they be forcing people out of their homes? I mean, I'm not a socialist, but we shouldn't just have socialism only for the banking elite and not the people if we're going to have it. Gold runs out in German rush. Gold runs out in German rush. London Evening Standard, risk-averse Germans are turning to gold in troublesome times, but there's none left. German gold dealers say demand has skyrocketed in the past week to 10 times normal as more orders can be taken for the foreseeable future. No more orders can be taken. The demand exceeds our capabilities by a great deal, said Helco Ganas, head of precious metals company Pro Urnum. The request cannot be satisfied right now, a dealer from the Dusseldorf WGZ Bank confirmed. And it goes on to say the country has run out of gold. The U.S. Mint has suspended gold sales. The Canadian Mint doesn't have any maple leafs left. Other mints are running out. The Russian Mint doesn't have it. And why don't they have it? Because the private banks have derivatives and have leveraged and played all sorts of games, this has been admitted, on suppressing the price of paper gold, or people that hold paper in the price of gold. And so banks and mints can't buy gold at its real price of around $1,500. They can't do that because that's the real price of gold. And so, but because the financial dictatorship says gold only costs $850 an ounce, you see, no one can get it. And so they can't issue the coin anymore. This is the utter mind control that we're under. Your phone calls on the controlled economic collapse straight ahead and what a depression will look like, not just in the U.S., but worldwide.